Am I actually wearing this hat?
Yeah, I guess you are actually wearing that hat. We just went live,
It's
so
too late to go back.
Eh,
it is too late to go back. So here we are, guys. Welcome to the fourth episode of the Dapper Gaming Podcast. We're going a day early because Geoff,
Sorry.
fucking Geoff. But last week we had Victor on. You want to talk about that a bit? Because I thought that was hilarious.
It
Terrible
was
at the time. I was pissed at the time. Hilarious now. Jeff, never
entertaining.
leave us again.
Yeah, definitely entertaining to say the least.
Oh, it was entertaining.
I
He just
caught a
hit
bit of it.
four. He just hit 4K subs on YouTube and got his like TGS partnership. So, congratulations, Victor. Way to go. Way to be the man. Just don't get drunk on the podcast again.
No, not a good idea.
Get
So,
drunk.
what have you guys been playing this week?
Hmm. What a question that is. Um, man, I feel kind of bad because I haven't played much again. I kind of stick to my basics. Counter-Strike, nothing really changed with that. I'm still terrible at it, and I realize this. I got de-ranked again competitive, so I'm kind of just whatever with that. I played Dungeon Land actually a little bit. I don't really know how I feel about it yet. It's really simple, which don't
It's
get me wrong.
hard though.
Oh, uh,
It's
it was
hard
hard.
if you play with people who like aren't totally sure how to play it.
Yeah.
It's like one of
Oh,
those games where you have to like really work with your friends because like they'll fuck up otherwise because some of the bosses are like crazy hard and they'll just kill you. Like you need
yeah.
to use like the warrior's ability to block and like pull aggro with the mage's ability to make people invulnerable.
That
Like
which is completely ridiculous. I think it is.
yeah, but that game gets really hard further in.
Well,
And the 4 player is even harder. It's
there's
fucking crazy hard.
there's 4 player.
Yeah, where one person plays the dungeon master and like spawns the creeps,
I
but
didn't
he
know.
has special creeps that are even harder, and he can like take control of them and use their special abilities.
That's I didn't know that. That's freaking awesome. What's really cool about it though is that you can have 2 people on one computer and then online with a third person, which I
Yeah,
didn't even know. That's freaking awesome. Like I don't know, it just blows my mind. I like that.
That's totally, well, not totally new, but something pretty damn new to PC gaming. Is it one
Yeah.
player with a controller?
Yeah, 1 player with a controller, one with keyboard. But you could have 3 people on the controllers if you want. So
yeah. Same thing with the cave. The cave is 3 player local co-op for every single platform. There's no online for any of the platforms, but when you play it on PC, the game you like one when you play it by yourself, you either play it like entirely on the controller, entirely with a mouse, or entirely with a keyboard. And so if you own a keyboard and mouse, obviously you do, then you could play 2 player local co-op because it's like a point and click adventure game with some like puzzle with like a bit of platforming in it, but like only really to get around the game world. So when you play it 3 player, like you could just have one person with a controller, one person with the mouse, and one person on the keyboard.
hmm,
You could
that's
probably
actually
even set
really
it up to put 2 people on the keyboard because like there's almost like when you play the game, all you use, at least when I was playing, like single player, is like WASD, E, and space. So you could like do that on the numpad.
Hmm.
huh. That's cool. I really like
Yeah.
that bringing local play to a computer. Um,
Yeah.
it just it's nice because I don't own any of the newer gen Nintendo consoles, and those are like usually what I thought of as party games consoles, and then they're kind of bringing that aspect to the PC, which is really
Yeah.
neat to me.
Yeah,
It's
even like
definitely huge.
even Sonic and All Stars Racing Transform for PC, I think is 4 player local co-op. It's at
Really?
least yeah, it's at least 2. I think he can
That's
do 4 player split screen though for it.
okay. If that's it, I might have to pick that up pretty soon.
It's
I'm
something
dying
that
to
you
play that
definitely
game.
want. It's something you definitely want a controller for, but like game's pretty. It's probably that should have been higher up on my like top games of the year list. That game's so good.
We talked about it quite a bit.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best kart racer that's ever released.
Whew. Wow,
That's pretty strong claim right there.
that's pretty huge.
It's better than any of the Mario Kart games that are out right now that have ever come out, really.
Really.
Yeah,
Well, that's
it's really good.
I feel like that's a huge opinion-based answer too, though, because a lot of people, when I talk to them, their favorite Mario Kart was Mario Kart 64. I like Double Dash and don't like anything else. But I don't know, just me.
I think that you can objectively say it's the best one only because like there's just so much more content and so much more like types of racing and the power-ups are way more balanced.
Okay.
Like the blue shell has kind of always been bullshit in Mario Kart,
Yeah.
whereas this they have like something that is similar to the blue shell where it targets the person who's in first place, but it doesn't knock them out automatically. It like puts a swarm of bees in front of them and they like can dodge them.
Hmm.
So like that is a lot fairer.
Yeah.
And instant, like it's a
And-
guaranteed hit with a blue shell.
Yeah.
Let's see if you know how to dodge them. It's possible.
You-
It's
You
possible
can do that in certain versions. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it's not possible in the N64 one.
in Double Dash. It is.
I think you can block it if you
You
have
can-
like a bunch of shells around you.
If you drift right, you can like, you know how you get the power slide going and get the blue sparks. You can boost off and like miss you. It's like it barely happens, but it does. Just want to throw that up.
It's hard as shit. The blue shell's always been BS. But
Yeah.
that game's not really meant to be balanced to like be fair, I guess.
It's
If
meant
that
to be
makes-
fun.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it
designed so that
does.
everyone's always supposed to be able to win at any time. Whereas like Sonic and All Stars Racing, like you can actually just fucking pull out way ahead and lap people.
I like. Yeah, I
Like
like
the
that aspect
AI
because-
Everyone doesn't slow down because someone's fucking terrible.
Yeah. No, because Mario Kart definitely does do that, but at the same time, there is, like, there is different levels of skill in that game too. Like, I'm not like saying between someone that hasn't played and someone that's played for years, but like, there are some people that are like way better. So, it like keeps the gap like shorter, but there's still a gap.
Well, I know my brother who played N64 like religiously when it came out. When I try to play Mario Kart with him, he can actually lap me. We got 3 laps and he'll lap me, and I'm like, how the fuck? Like I have not missed anything. Like I've been getting boosts, and he's just like, I am just that good at drifting.
Yeah.
Fuck.
But yeah, other than that, really haven't been playing much this week. Just those 2 games and a little bit of Dungeon Defenders, but I think I'm kind of done with that for a while. It's kind of getting to that boring point, like I said last week. But what about you, Jeff?
This week I also haven't had that much time to play video games. It's kind of annoying, but I managed to play quite a bit of Minecraft and a little bit of League of Legends. With Minecraft, I've kind of been dabbling into mods quite a bit more because
Yeah.
vanilla gets boring pretty quick. I've been looking at Melanair, which is really cool. It's a village mod. It adds like AI villages, but there's 4 different cultures, and like the villages will actually go to war with each other, and they'll build up. Like they actually gather resources and build new structures and stuff, and you can trade with them. I found
Really?
that's like it's really cool because I just
Is
like
is that a single player mod or is that on like a multiplayer server?
I believe it's actually multiplayer now. It used to be single player only.
That's
and-
actually pretty neat.
Yeah, it's really cool because you can actually like they'll physically come out and like build new structures and stuff, and then like the families in the villages will have kids, and like you can watch the village actually grow, and as
Yeah.
they grow, they like more goods that they can sell you, and it's cool. And then I also looked into another really complex mod called Thaumcraft, which is it's really weird. It adds like tons and tons of mechanics to the game, and I'm still trying to figure it out. But both of them are Forge mods. So I went and I looked into what Forge actually is, and it's like a bunch of hooks that allow you to decompile Minecraft, and then actually write your own code and recompile it, and you just get mods out of this that are in the form of a zip package that like players can just drag into their game, and you can get like 5 or 6 mods and just throw them all into your game, and they'll work together very easily. So I've actually been looking into writing my own mods in Forge.
Oh, that'd be pretty
I'm
neat.
just like poking around, adding blocks and crops and stuff, and trying to see what I can do with it. it's pretty easy and it's pretty cool. And then with League of Legends, they just released season 3. Like season 3 just started yesterday,
Like,
I think.
yeah, I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, they just started season 3, and they also just gave out like a new round of bans for pros. They banned like a whole team the other week.
Oh,
Just last
yeah, I
week.
heard about that.
They banned a bunch of people from competing in season 3
Wasn't
because
it just because they were vulgar? Like,
yeah, well, one of the guys that got banned had been reported in over 95% of the games he'd ever played on any on all of his accounts.
yeah.
Oh great, my camera just shut off.
I'm still getting it.
Not
Yeah,
that
that's
camera, other camera.
Yeah, no, it's cool. They released a completely new like ranking and ladder system. It's nothing at all like the old one. It's a lot like StarCraft 2's actually. You have like individual groups of 100 people you compete against, and once you get to like the top of that group, you can compete in games to try and get into the group above yours and like increase your ranking.
Really?
Yeah, I found it like the second I logged in, I wanted to play ranked games, which was not the way it was before. So I think it's actually a really successful change. Before you just had a number and your number would go up or down based on win or loss, and that was it. Whereas
That was
now
kind of a bad system.
yeah, there's kind of like goals that you can get to, and then in order to move up, you have to win like a sort of best of 5 tournament almost. But it is random players, but it's like if you win 3 out of the 5 games, you move into the new league.
That's really cool. Yeah, I played in, I'm pretty sure the last season. Didn't really play that many games, but it was just hard to find a team. But yeah, that definitely sounds like an improvement, and actually I might want to start playing that game again.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then a couple other things they've done that I'm not. One of them I'm a big fan of. The other one I'm not a huge fan of. They've set it up so that the highest ranked players in the game, like the people who have like in the highest division, who have the highest score, are actually invited to like paid tournaments. And if they win, they actually make it into the pro circuit and are actually in like the ranked, or not the ranked, the actual like pro group and can actually make money playing the game. So they're basically pulling players from the pool of casual players into pro, which is kind of cool because it encourages those guys, like the people who are really, really good at the game, to practice and get better. Personally, for me, it's kind of annoying because I keep seeing people I've never heard of cycle into the pro circuit and then drop right out. But
Yeah,
interesting.
I actually think that's kind of a good idea, but it kind of probably needs to be refined. Like you said, if they just get in and then drop out, they probably don't have like. Obviously, they're not going to be used to it. It's going to be a completely different style of play. But like if they did something like that with Counter-Strike, not to like get off on a tangent, I think that'd be a good idea too.
Yeah,
But
no,
that's a completely different.
It
it's
doesn't
cool about it.
it doesn't make sense to implement it for League, at least. Well, it does if it's 5v5s.
I think it's the top 5v5 teams.
Okay, well that makes more sense. Because like that game's so much about working with your team that it doesn't work just to like pull in like pairs and shit.
Yeah.
But it's also never mind. It's just it doesn't make sense to even do it for really any game. Because like if they want to go pro, they'll fucking like look for ways to do it. They'll actually compete. There's no point in doing it on the ladder. Especially since a lot of the pros don't play ladder games.
Yeah.
Because, like, people on the ladder aren't good enough.
A lot of the pros in League of Legends do and are actually at the top of like the solo queue ladder. They just do it to practice when their teammates are
They
off
do
doing
it
their own
because
thing.
of streaming. They don't do it to practice.
Well, the practice.
Streaming is such a, like, big money maker if you have that Twitch sponsorship, right? Or, well, not sponsorship, but partnership. And you're not going to stream when you're playing with your team because people will, like, see your strats. But you'll stream solo stuff, and people will watch it.
Yep. No, I've watched those streams quite a bit, so I mean, it definitely works. The other thing they've announced with season 3 is I believe they've slowed down the release schedule for new content, so we're gonna see
Wow.
less now, which kind of sucks.
I completely disagree. I think that's a great thing. I think, yeah, I've always thought that when they release Champion, obviously it's on imbalanced, and I feel like they need to spend more time kind of shaping the game and maybe, I mean, I think they have enough content to keep it interesting and keep people involved, and they kind of know like they're gonna make money regardless of what if they release new champions or not. So
Yeah.
maybe it's time to like refine like the little things that are missing from the game. So
They've been sort of doing that slowly, improving like the mechanics of champions, like reducing like the time to like cast spells and stuff, or improving effects and things like that to make champions feel more responsive. They've been doing a lot of that lately, especially with old champions.
yeah,
I'm the one reason I am happy about it is they have more time to kind of pick the best ideas from the bunch and test it
yeah,
when they release a new champion. So I think we'll see like the quality of champions go up a bit in the game, at least in
yeah, yeah. Because I'm kind of tired. I mean, I've seen quite a few champions that seem very similar to each other in their moves or their animations, and coming from I played a little bit of Dota, a little bit of Han. You see these completely unique characters that are nothing like their counterparts of the game, and just like this is a lot more interesting to play, I think. But
Does
yeah, I think
Dota or Han have over like 100 champions though?
I couldn't tell you.
The
I don't know.
60s.
Dota's almost at 100. It's at 80,
Is it?
80 something.
I think League of Legends is like 105 or something like that now.
Yeah.
100. And,
It's stupid. They ran out of mechanics.
yeah, they really are. But I think we'll see some interesting champions come out. I'm not sure if they'll be like way out there like some of the newer champions in the other MOBA games, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
They might even spend time changing some of the attacks on like current champions, because I know, I mean, sometimes I take breaks once in a while, like a month break, and come back to it, and there's certain champions that like one of their skills is just completely different from what it used to be, and that's kind of neat to see, but at the same time like almost like weird because I don't know what's happening and I haven't played the game in a while. I mean, I guess it's a game that you have to kind of have to stick with and like read
Well,
up on, but
come back to it, but I would say just like read all the patch notes you've missed.
right, which isn't
Because what they do is champions that do not get played or like don't work well with the game, they'll just redo them. Right? Like change their whole skill setup.
Yeah,
If-
I don't. To be honest, I don't like that though, because
No.
like,
Three
the
times.
problem that game has right now, at least for me, and the reason why I don't fucking play it at all, because I think it sucks, is that like the meta game is so strict that you can't do anything interesting, if that makes any sense.
That's what you think.
No,
Um,
it's true, Jeff. They ban people for breaking metagame in fucking ranked.
You mean
So
you mean how like there's supposed to be one person mid, one jungler, two bot, one top, like that kind of
yeah, they'll ban you for not playing by the fucking metagame. So why do I like the metagame is blatantly too strict in that game. There's nothing interesting about it.
You only
You-
get banned if it's in games. You can play in other games and try to experiment with the metagame. And usually people will only report you if you're basically deliberately trolling and feeding. Right? Like if you go, hey, I'm gonna play this weird champion in this weird spot that you've never seen, trust me, it'll work out, and then it works out, I don't think they're gonna report you.
Yeah,
No, but it doesn't matter if you're just playing the game. Like the metagame in that game is just way too strict. It actually is. You can rarely win if you do something interesting. And
I
it's
saw
mostly
Lane Leona shit on I forget who the opponent was, but it didn't make any sense and nobody understood what happened. Leona is only good in support. And I was just
Yep.
like in a ranked game. I was like, what the fuck just happened?
I think the meta game's pretty strict too, but at the same time, if you're with four other people and yourself and a team of five, then you can experiment a little bit. I mean, we've done it just joking around, and I guess if you're talking more of like you can't go outside the box if you're like trying to be competitive about it. Is that what you're saying, Ryan? Like
pretty much.
to be
You
to
can't
be good at it, you have to.
You can't be good at it and go outside of the metagame unless you're playing against terrible people.
Yeah, that's definitely I agree with that, because we've experimented and like we'll do two mid just to fuck around, and that usually works if you're against, like you said, someone bad, but like people know how to counter it too easy because the way like you
Well,
get
it gimps your
money
AP carries.
Yeah.
which fucks up their mid game, and that's when the AP carry is good. Whereas
I
like
played AP bot and just destroyed people who actually were competent at the game. Like
were those people Kyle?
No. I try not to play with him very much.
Yeah, because he's a fucking asshole. But
What if he's
Anyways.
watching the stream?
he's not, because he hates me. I know he's not, because he hates me.
No, he won't be.
But, no, like, the way that the metagame in League is just works is way too strict. Like, you always have your AD bot with a support, you have your bruiser top, and then you have an AP carry mid, and you have a jungler. But, like, in Dota, and I can't speak for Han, but it seems a lot more like Dota.
Yeah.
It's about, like, how you pair up your champions, not what lane they're in. I mean, there's some champions who work better in other lanes. Like, Doom works better in bot lane because of the creep that are in the jungle on bot lane. They're just better for eating to, like, gain the extra ability. But it's really about pairing him with a champion that he works well with, not what lane you stick him in. Well, but, like, Graves, you have to fucking stick him bot, because he's your AD carry.
A lot of the time, if there's a really weak bot lane, like you have a bot lane combo where the other team just, like, they're going to beat you because their champions are just stronger early, people will swap bot and top lane, so there'll be 2v1 lanes. But you can throw that stuff in. It is similar in that way. It's just you don't see it very often.
But it's not about the character combo, Jeff. It's about, like, sticking your AD carry with your support, and you have, like, a set of supports and a set of carries.
You combo the correct AD carries with the correct support too, right? Like, you have to choose the right champions to work together, and then you can pull in weird supports. I've seen Xerath support, who's like strictly AP carry, destroy people, because at level 6 he just gibbs anybody without any damage, right? There is an ability to go off the metagame there. It's just not done very often.
Yeah, but I think it's largely because of how the metagame in that game works. It's a lot more stricter than other MOBAs.
Maybe a bit. Yeah. But that doesn't bother me, personally.
I don't know, it bores me. Because it makes all the calls fucking very much the same.
I'm more interested in character mechanics. Anyways.
Well, even then, the character mechanics in that game were a lot simpler than other MOBAs.
Yeah. But, what have you been playing this week, Ryan?
Dota 2. Not much of that, actually. I've been playing Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor Edge for Wii U. Not much of that. I can't really tell you much about it because I fucking haven't had a lot of time to play it. I play it when I'm rendering. That's what Wii games are for me right now. Like, Wii U games, but since now that I beat Warriors Orochi 3, Wii U games are like, okay, I'm rendering this video. I'll just play on my Wii U. Because I can't play games on my PC. A quick note, all my videos are going to be in 1080p again, because I got my new hard drive yesterday, because NCIX are fucking amazing. 24-hour delivery. Or, well,
nice.
Not, like, it was delivered in 24 hours from when I ordered. I ordered it at, like, 11 o'clock on Thursday, and it was here at 11 on Friday.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. For $5 for shipping.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. Well, you have to remember, Jeff and I only live 4-hour drive away. It's just that you have to go on a ferry. And so every time a package has to come over on the ferry, it adds 24 hours.
Yeah.
So.
Isn't NCIX based in Canada?
Yeah, it's in Vancouver.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah.
Jeff and I are only like a ferry ride away, and then a very short drive.
I used to live like bus ride away. It was amazing. I'd just go in there and be like, I want a new monitor today, and just walk out with one.
Yeah.
For like,
and there's like 6 NCIX stores in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So many NCIX stores.
I have 0.
Yeah. But you guys got Newegg and Tiger Direct, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mostly use Newegg, but
we have a Newegg Canada now.
Ooh, I still like NCIX.
Yeah, I still order mostly from NCIX, only because even if I have to pay like $10 more, I get it like in 2 days. And the shipping's a hell of a lot less because Vancouver.
Yeah.
Like if I have to ship something from Newegg, it'll usually cost me $15 more than shipping it from NCIX. God, what else have I been playing? DMC. I just beat that on Son of Sparta.
Hardest mode?
No, there's a mode called Dante Must Die, and he dies in one hit, and everyone else has regular health. There's also one called Hell and that might be Hell and Hell. Okay, there's a game mode that's like harder than Son of Sparta, and then there's a game mode where everything dies in one hit, a game mode where everything has regular health and Dante dies in one hit.
Doesn't sound like fun.
The combat's fucking broken, so I'm done. I played through it twice, and now I'm done. There's no targeting system in that game. Like, there's no manual targeting system, which is kind of fucking important in a game like that, because you have to hit certain enemies with certain types of weapons, but you don't get to choose what enemy you're attacking. Like, it's all dependent on the auto-targeting system. So...
That sounds kind of weird.
Yeah. It works okay on the normal difficulty because, like, you don't have to fight a lot of enemies that are red or blue or have shields. At least not at once. So you don't really have to worry about that. But on Son of Sparta, every fucking enemy either has a shield, is red, or is blue. So it means I have to chain enemies. Like, I have to chain very specific enemies with, like, specific types of chains. And I have to hit them with specific types of weapons. But I don't get to choose which one I'm targeting. And if there's a fucking enemy with a shield flying over top of an enemy without a shield, and I want to chain the enemy with the shield that's in the air, half the time you fucking chain the dude who's on the ground. And then you get shot from the air. So it's just, like, maddening.
Yeah.
So, fuck that game.
That's the first one that changed that, didn't they have a targeting system, like, in the games previous to this?
Didn't they have a targeting system in every single spectacle fighter since the creation of the genre? Yes.
I haven't played many of those, but...
The only... Like, they don't even use one of the buttons on the controller, so it doesn't make sense to not use it. They don't use left bumper. So if you just held left bumper, then that would be that. I mean, most people would be like, oh, but then you have to hold the controller, like, with both fingers at the back, but you already have to do that with your right hand for dodges. So, because, like, the triggers, the left and right trigger, like, change whether or not you're using angelic weapons or demonic weapons. So you always are holding a left trigger or a right trigger, but dodge is on right bumper, so you're already holding it with two fingers at the back anyways.
Yeah.
Fucking stupid.
Wii game design.
To talk about whether or not the PC port's any good is actually really good. It works really well with keyboard and mouse. Equally as good as the controller, because there's so many buttons that you have to press for, like, triggers, that just using, like, WASD to move and then Q and E to switch between angelic and demonic is pretty okay. I've been playing Retrovirus. I started playing that last night. It, like, just came out on Steam. I'm trying to get my review done for it.
I've never heard of it.
It's a PC game that GameStop really pushed for some damn reason. I was like, oh, really? The guys at GameStop thought this game was so good that they had to, like, set up demos of it inside GameStops for people to play? Well, I'll buy it, because, I mean, like, I'm going to review it anyways. So, I bought it. I've been playing it. I'm not surprised that the guys at GameStop, like, set it up, because it's not fucking that good. It's not very amazing. It has really cool lighting effects.
Was it a PC only title, or?
It's a PC only title.
Okay, that's kind of fucking weird.
Yeah, that's why it's weird that they set it up and, like, did demos and stuff for it. But, like, it's not that good.
when
So
their rack for PC games is like that big, and there's like two
yeah,
titles
when they
in their
fucking
stores.
have
It's
World
got
of
like 6
Warcraft,
games.
they have World of
Yeah.
Warcraft and StarCraft at the EB
got-
Games where I live. That's it.
We got the battle chests, but yeah, that's it. Great story. I bought Just Cause 2 from there once. Didn't come with a CD key. That was the weirdest thing in the world. I yeah, legitly did not open it up. I'm like, I don't know if there's a CD key I need, and they're like, yeah, there was, of course. And that was the last time I bought a PC game from GameStop.
Way to go, GameStop. The best.
I don't think I've bought a PC game there in my life.
I bought
Just look
Diablo
at
3 there.
that sad little shelf and go,
Bought
Jeff,
Diablo
you
there.
and I bought StarCraft there, and we bought Diablo 3 there. Or no, I didn't buy
oh, I
Diablo
bought
3
Diablo
there.
3 online.
Yeah, I bought Diablo 3 online. You and I bought StarCraft 2 at EB Games, though.
Yeah, what about a Future Shop?
No, we bought it at EB Games by Future Shop. I know because I gave you a ride there.
Hmm.
And then I bought it. And
You
then
have
I
way better
fucking
memory
stuck
than I
the
do.
disc in my computer, and it made it sound like it was going to explode. It was the worst sound I've ever heard come from my computer ever in my life. The disc was defective.
Ooh.
I still have the disc. I just typed the code in online and then downloaded it, and it installed faster than it ever did on my PC. So, or I mean with the disc.
Yeah.
It was terrifying, the sound, though.
Should put it in on stream. So you can just
Yeah.
like run out of the room. Oh my god.
I don't have a disk drive on my desktop, so.
Oh,
That-
whoa.
It's crazy Apple shit right there.
The day you need a disk drive will be the day. Oh man, I
The
can't wait
day
till
that
happens.
Steam dies. I
Day that
needed a
Steam
floppy
dies.
drive the other week, so I bought one.
A what?
I needed a floppy drive.
You can still buy those?
I had an old game stuck on a floppy drive, so I bought one online.
The only floppies that I have seen in like the last 3 years was recycled ones that people were putting QR codes on. So they'd give you a floppy drive with a QR code, and you just scan that. And like if you put the floppy drive in, there's nothing on it because nothing's smaller than 1.4 megabytes.
Games. I needed to play games.
Old games that shipped on floppy drives. Yes.
Yeah, I've been playing Retrovirus. It's not very good. It's got really cool lighting effects. It fucking is terribly optimized because I can only run it at 30 FPS on my computer.
What the fuck?
It's
That's
not
weird.
locked, though. I know it's not locked because sometimes I go in environments and it goes up to 40.
Ooh,
Oh shit.
Yeah.
getting up there.
So, whatever the fuck is going on with this game...
They
so
should
retarded.
probably use that as a benchmark tool. It sounds like it.
Yeah. It doesn't look that good, though. It's just got cool lighting effects.
I just looked it up and looked at the screenshots and it's like. looks
Yes,
like an
Jeff,
indie
my
game.
dual 470 4 gigahertz processor fucking runs that thing at 30 FPS barely.
It's bullshit. My laptop should be able to run that at 30 FPS.
Yup.
I have a shitty laptop.
Yeah, you got that Mac.
Yeah. Little
One of your own
13-inch
right now.
piece of poop.
And then I've been playing a really, really cool game called Antichamber, and it mind boggles me. It makes my head hurt.
I watched your playthrough of it, or not playthrough, your review of it.
The thing about that game, it's really hard to talk about because, like, it's not something, like, you can't relate it to anything. And so
Yeah.
many of the mechanics are, like, you try to explain them in writing, and it's just like, that doesn't make any sense. And then you see it, like, in video or something, and you're like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
I was just like, how the fuck did they build this? You just turned right 6 times and are in a different hallway.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Like,
crazy
it has-
portals everywhere or something.
It has no consideration for the rules of our universe. Like,
It's got gravity, sort of.
like Portal has portals, which, like, they can't exist to our
Yeah.
knowledge. But it still fucking
all
follows
it
the
has.
law. But it still has, like, the same laws of physics as we do. Like, things fall.
Yeah. anti-chamber or whatever, that doesn't even have like
When
a
you,
sense of, it's like it's almost like a four-dimensional game or some shit.
it is.
It's
There's a
confusing.
room that has a four-dimensional art gallery. Every time that you look at something from a different angle, it's a fucking different object.
I don't, I don't understand how they did that
Um,
engineering wise. It's
yeah,
terrifying.
but like the laws of space they don't apply in anti-chamber. I think that they teach that to you pretty much in like the first 2 minutes of the game. You like come up on on these two stairways, red and blue. You go down the red stairway. You just come back to where you started. You go down the blue, or you go up the blue stairway. You go back to exactly where you started. You turn around, go back where you came, and you end up fucking somewhere new.
That just
Yeah,
sounds like a pretty frustrating game.
fucking weird.
Yeah,
I saw a maze in it where somebody was just taking random turns and like they would end up at the same hallway again, like
oh, I know what
taking an
one you're talking
impossible set of
about.
turns and
There's
stuff,
like
and then like
there's like a
it's just
red.
fuck.
There's like three. It splits in three places, and there's like a red. Like one of the walls is red, one of them's blue, and
Yeah.
those always go back to the same part. And then there's like green, and you like go to the green, and then if you go down any of the white hallways, you end up exactly where you started. And the trick of that puzzle is that you need to go where it's not that you need to go where the walls are green. You need to go where the walls aren't white. And so like you go down, you like see that there's only green in one way, and so like you go there, then you turn around, there's only white, except for like exactly where you came from. You go back exactly where you came from, and then all of a sudden it's just fucking all green walls. So it's just like great. The game's so
Fucking crazy looking.
if you like puzzle games, that's like the best puzzle game I've ever played. Just because it's so interesting and not like anything else I've really ever played. It's an experience, definitely. If you don't like puzzle games, don't buy it. You'll hate it.
Yeah, it was really weird.
You should get it, Geoff. I want to see
I
you
should.
try to beat it. I'm halfway through. I put 3 hours in, so it's apparently 6 hours if you're really good at puzzles. But I'm fucking stuck. Like
Is it single player only?
yeah, it's single player only.
Okay.
There's like Metroidvania aspects to the game where you like find these guns that like place matter on the wall, and so like you can't beat certain puzzles without having like a certain gun, well, without having like unlocked a certain gun yet.
Yeah.
And so you have to like backtrack a lot in that game, and because everything like looks the same, you get lost, especially since like you can't really tell how far away you are from something because it's all about like how you look at stuff. So,
Yeah,
like,
no, it's really creepy. I, I it just hurts my brain every time I see like anything in that game. Literally every puzzle is like that doesn't make sense.
yeah, I've
But
no
the
clue
fact-
how to do that, but I'll do it. I'll beat it. Hopefully I'll beat it actually. And then besides, I'm sorry, I got one more sneeze. No, I don't. I lied.
Just sucked it back in.
I just sucked it back in. I was just like, you are not
sneeze.
sneezing. I bought a game this morning. There's two games I'm looking for. I'm looking for, well, I guess one game I'm looking for now. So, the Wii has like a lot of good games for it, but they were never released in North America. Except now they're getting released in North America. Well, two of them have been released, and one of them's getting released on the 23rd. So Pandora's Tower comes out on like the 23rd, and I'm buying that because it sounds awesome. And then Xenoblade Chronicles and The Last Story. So I got The Last Story. I ordered that this morning. I bought it. It was like $90 after shipping and shit for the collector's edition.
Oh, okay.
But well, the collector's edition's only like $70. Normally, it goes on eBay for like a lot more. It's like close to $100 normally before shipping and shit. Because you can't buy it at EB Games, you can't buy it at Best Buy, you can't buy it anywhere. It's gone. They're out of copies in North America, so you have to buy it on eBay. Xenoblade Chronicles, I'm trying to find. I can't find that for less than $100 for the North American version.
That's tough.
Which
I've heard it's worth it though.
Yeah,
like, it's one of the best.
I'll buy it next month when I have the money. And then obviously I'm gonna get Pandora's Tower on the 23rd. I'm gonna have to buy it online because EB Games doesn't get it until March, the end of March. The reason why Xenoblade Chronicles though is so hard to find is that it was only sold at EB Games and GameStop in North America, and they only ordered enough copies to fill out pre-orders. So there's only like fucking 3,000 copies of it in North America.
What the hell?
And that's why it costs like $100 for
Because
used
everybody
copies.
is selling it. It's crazy.
Same thing with The Last Story, but I found a dude in Ontario who would sell it to me for $70. So
Sounds like a good deal.
yeah,
Uh,
The Last Story had like a similar deal. It wasn't really sold anywhere except for like GameStop to fill out pre-orders. And it looks like Pandora's Tower might end up being the same. I'll see if I can't find it online like at the end of this month, then I'll have to go to GameStop or EB Games here in Canada and like get a pre-order because I want it. The thing that
What kind of games are all these? Are they all JRPGs or?
Xenoblade's a JRPG, Pandora's Tower is like an action game,
Okay.
and Last Story I think is a JRPG. I could be wrong though. Yeah, like the Wii is a weird system because there's a lot of good games for it, just none of them came out in North America. And then when like people ask why they didn't come out in North America, you look at the games that are really good that came out in North America for the Wii, and no one fucking bought them. Like there was a remake of a game that they said, oh well, if it does really well, we'll remake number 2 as well and release it on Wii. And it only sold 700 copies in its opening week.
Wow.
And it's like considered one of the best Wii games. And it's just because the casual market was so big for the Wii in like North America, but no core gamers bought it or played it, and so none of the good games ever got bought. Just fucking Wii Sports and like Nintendo first party. And then shovelware. So much shovelware.
Shovelware.
Yeah. So I've been sort of, now that I have something I can play Wii games on, I've like been trying to acquire the ones that I actually wanted to play.
Yeah.
I was stupid. I should have just pre-ordered all that shit and just bought a Wii here for $100 new. Like a normal person. Then I'd have a copy of Xenoblade.
It's too easy.
Yeah.
It's not fun enough. You gotta go the hard way and like acquire it the collector's way, you know?
Yeah, fucking acquire all
cooler.
these damaged copies of Xenoblade for $100.
Oh yeah. Scratch discs and stuff. That's how you gotta do it.
They're not in like terrible shape, but like the covers are crumpled or like just wear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The copy of Last Story that I got, the collector's edition, still fucking factory sealed.
Ooh. You gonna break that open? Play it?
Yeah, I am.
Craziness.
I should just save it for 2 years and then sell it for like $300.
Yeah.
Even though it won't be worth that. You can get a factory sealed copy. Fuck. Oh, wait. We're not going to talk about that. I played another game. I played Cart Life. Dino was talking about it, or Brandon was talking about it last week on the podcast. Where you like run a newspaper stand and fucking have to like deal with your cat and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I remember this.
What the fuck?
It's really hard. And sad. Awfully sad.
What's it on Steam?
No, you just have to download it from his website because it's not on anything. It's free.
Oh, really?
It's like 30 megabytes. It's really good. It runs at like 640 by 360 unless you like apply the anti-aliasing filter. That literally just doubles the size of the screen. They're like, here's 2x anti-aliasing, double the resolution. That game's pretty okay. I think I'm gonna make a video on it just cause.
How's it depressing?
You have to like
It's
guide
like
them through
all
a
kind of
regular life,
black.
don't you?
It's all grayscale, and it's kind of sad, like being this Russian dude who's just like got nothing left in his life, who's like moved to try to open this newspaper stand, and he's like living in a motel room and has to like hide his cat, and like his only friend in the world is this cat. His cat goes missing. It's just like sad.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah. There's 2 playable characters. I haven't played the woman, but the woman opens up a coffee shop so that she can like prove that she is financially stable so that she can win a custody battle against her ex-husband. So, also kind of depressing. So, yeah, that's it. That's all I've been playing this week. I'm going to play more Retrovirus later.
Apparently there's a third character in Cart Life.
Yeah, but you gotta pay.
Cart. Yeah. He's addicted to caffeine, so if you don't get like high quality caffeine, he gets all sluggish.
Yeah, the Russian guy's addicted to cigarettes.
And his cat. Mm-hmm.
I think you can kill the cat by not feeding them.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Yeah, which would be like
Sounds
the saddest
extremely
thing
depressing. Oh, it's brutal.
So you guys want to move on to this week's topics?
Yeah.
Probably a good idea.
I thought we'd start off with something like happy and positive. So Crytek Austin just got opened up last week or this week. I guess this week. It's not Monday yet.
Oh.
But Crytek... Oh, fuck, there goes my camera. Here, you guys want to take a quick break?
Yeah, that's fine.
You... Right when I switch it back on.
What? I should have told you to wait, eh?
Yeah.
Dude, this is just bad. Why do
I bought cheesies.
I bought the crunchiest things to eat.
You bought cheesies?
No,
You're just trolling on purpose.
Yeah.
Asshole. Whatever. It's still better than last week. You can't be more disruptive than hello.
That was just great.
That literally happened. That's not even an exaggeration. He was mumbling through people.
Jeff, you should have been there.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Not very much.
I found the point where he wakes up and he's like, "World of Warcraft." And you're like, "Oh, hey."
Victor is
I linked to that in the fucking description. I put the time code for that. Because that's the funniest part of that's the best part of the episode.
Well,
so
pretty ridiculous.
We'll start off with some good news because last week was a lot of bad news. We've got Crytek Austin founded in Austin. Crytek Austin was founded, and it consists mostly of like the core Vigil team, so that's good news. Seeing as they didn't get sold. Sadly, the Darksiders 2 IP is still floating around. No one really knows what's going to happen with it, but that's because the second auction hasn't happened yet. Maybe Crytek Austin buys it.
Ooh.
that would
Be nice.
kind of make a lot of sense. They did.
Yeah, and there were rumors that Platinum wanted it, but maybe they're just being teases.
Platinum?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
No.
Crytek Austin is made up of the core Vigil team, right?
Yeah, it's like...
I'm worried that like there's a bit of excitement around this, but I don't think you're going to see anything from them for at least a year.
Oh,
Maybe.
probably.
Oh yeah. But
So it's just nice to know that like that group hasn't fallen apart. They'll be able to keep making games.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So now we get to move on to something that I think is hilarious, only because I've always bitched about Xbox Live Indie, and now I get to bitch about it more.
That's
yeah.
Because it probably isn't going to exist in the next console generation because of this. So Microsoft stopped development on XNA. Like, there's no longer going to be any kind of updates for it. And
Yeah.
the thing about XNA is that it's like the development environment that like indie games were like supposed to use if they wanted to release on Xbox, because it made it the easiest to release on Xbox. Otherwise, it's hard and very costly.
Yeah. They've stopped developing it, which is unfortunate because I've actually used it, and it was a really good or a really good library to work with. I basically tried to make a Pokemon clone in it, and I found it was actually like really good and really quick and easy to develop on. So I'm a little bit sad to see it go because now my Pokemon clone is going to be fucking useless. But whatever, probably wasn't going to work on it anyways. The thing is, though, there is actually an alternative to it. It's called Mono Game, and it runs in Mono, which is an open source. It's basically C#, but it works on pretty much any machine. So you can use it on Linux, you can use it on your Mac, you can release iOS games in it and that sort of thing. And it is almost exactly XNA, so you can port existing games over to it and release on more platforms. I just don't think you can release on the Xbox with it. It works on everything else, including Windows 8, which XNA doesn't work on.
Yeah, but like the whole purpose of XNA was for developing Xbox games.
It was for
indie
platforms as an indie, right? It worked on Windows 7, Xbox, and Windows Phone. Microsoft just does not want to invest into it anymore because they're not getting much out of it.
No, because they don't really get anything out of anything indie. Like, they kind of, after like Team Meat and the dude who did Braid and Phil Fish, so Fez, all said, don't work with Microsoft on anything. Never release indie games on Xbox. It's not worth it. It's way too much. It's way too much money. They don't do what they say they're gonna do. Even though all the dudes who released fucking big games like Darwinian and shit forever ago said that, because they all released on Xbox and said, I don't understand why Phil Fish is releasing on Xbox, but fucking he did it anyways. But now that all these like really big guys with like, I guess what you would say like AAA indies, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
All said, don't do it. It's a terrible idea. I mean, Microsoft's probably not going to make anything on Xbox Live Indie, and it's way too expensive to go on Xbox Live Arcade. Hence why Indie's useless.
Yeah. No, it's. I'm assuming Xbox Live Indie is going to be dead as soon as the new console comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Xbox Live Indie is a lot of shovelware. Stuff that should have never been released.
Like 16 different versions of Minecraft that are all made like a week.
Yeah. And like the issue with it is that it's just full of shovelware, and then as an actual indie who wants to like develop a real game, you have to put it in arcade, because if you put it in indie, no one's going to see it, no one's going to want to play it because it's an indie. So then you have to pay 10 grand to put it in arcade.
Which is
fucking, well, yeah, it's more than it costs to develop the game if you're developing it as a one-man team by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, a lot of these games are. Like, that's what Fez was developed as. I mean, what do you have? Living costs. That's your fucking development costs.
2 or 3?
Fez had 2 people.
Yeah.
But it was mostly just Phil Fish because his partner left and a bunch of other shit. Same thing with Team Meat, 2 people. But those guys' cost of development was actually just their living costs. Dude who did Braid was just by himself. And then probably an artist. The real trick is that most of the guys who make these games have to just hire an artist.
Pretty much.
Which is fucking expensive. The guy and really hard to find one.
Yeah, that's just a problem in the industry, though. Like, finding artists just don't work on indie stuff. Really.
No, because if they're any good, they already have a job.
Well, it's really hard to get into the industry as an artist, and I think part of that is that the artists aren't involved in indie games at all. So they have no portfolio. Like, hey, check out this cool game I made for fun that never got released, and they can show a bunch of cool art. Instead, they're just like drawing pictures and going, why don't I have a job?
That's why pixel art. I'm so sick of pixel art. But it's so fucking cheap to do when you can do it yourself.
I do it. That's insane for me.
I know, Jeff.
can
You're
do
No offense, Jeff, but you're terrible. Awful.
In general or art-wise?
art-wise.
Art-wise, he's probably the best
God, you
programmer
wouldn't
I
say
know
that.
besides
You wouldn't
Michael.
I was just
programming.
Jeff is probably the best artist like programmer I know besides Michael. Cause
Michael thinks
Michael.
I'm better than him. I do not think I'm better than Michael.
Everyone thinks you're better. Who thinks you're better than Michael? Just Michael?
Michael does.
Oh.
I think he's better than me. Like, no, dude.
Dude, he hammers stuff out so fast.
No, it's retarded. Terrifies me.
Like,
he's really good at starting things.
yeah.
Whereas I can't do that at all.
I can't start things either. I never know what to fucking work in. My problem is I'm like, I want to make a game, and I'm like, look at environments and like, but I want to make for all these platforms. Why can't I use just one? And then just be like, but I want to use this language. Fuck you, Apple. Why'd you do this to me?
And you're just like, fuck it.
Yeah, and then I quit. And I was like,
yeah.
I can't make a game for PC, Mac, Linux, Android, and iOS all at the same time. Fuck it, I quit. Because that's what I want to do in my game.
Unity's probably the easiest one to do for like every platform ever made ever. Period.
Which is what?
Unity?
Oh yeah, Unity.
Engine?
That's why I was thinking about doing Unity. The thing is that I can't. I guess I could do it in. I'd have to do it in JavaScript, because that's the only one that Unity can export to all of the platforms. At least the last time I used Unity.
I think Mono does most platforms, which is C#.
That would be fucking usable. So.
And the JavaScript.
Yeah, then JavaScript. Because I'm pretty sure JavaScript's the only thing Unity has that exports to everything. I think it's the only.
Does.
I think JavaScript's the only thing that exports to Android from Unity. So. Or at least the last time I used it when I built a shitty platformer that was supposed to run in a web browser. I built it in 2 hours.
Nice.
That was for that's Senge 130 class, Jeff, the one where everyone was in third year and it was a first year class, and then after that they made it only for people outside of the department. Cause there were like 5 people in the class who were like in psych or something, and they got like C minuses because he had to make the class harder to try to keep up with the third year students, cause we were all getting over 100%. And even after he made it harder, we still all got over 100%. Me and my partner did our final assignment that was worth 40% of our total mark in 2 hours, and we got 110% on it because it was a 10% bonus if you did a presentation for it. And so like Bill up on the second floor was just like flipping his shit about all these third years taking this first year Senge class. Yes. Yeah, so XNA's dead.
Yeah.
That's how we got to me talking about a class I took a year ago.
Tangents, woo! So I guess we should...
We got 2 things to talk about now that are both related to the same game that should spin off into much bigger arguments.
Probably will.
So Dead Space 3 includes microtransactions for single player.
No.
You can buy guns that are included in the game that you can only get in New Game Plus, but you can buy them on your first playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never played Dead Space 3, or I mean, if you've never played Dead Space, like, part of it is like scavenging for resources to build guns.
Yeah.
You can just buy resources instead of scavenging for them.
Well, in the explanation, though, they did say, like, the resources that you buy can be obtained in the game, but at a much later
with
point.
The guns.
And then, which allows you to obtain the guns. But there's also resources that you can't buy in each gun that require you to get to a certain point. So you can't just, like, level 1 go in and spend $20 and have the best gun in the game and then sprint through the game killing everything in one hit.
You can normally only get that gun
with a lot of
New Game Plus.
Yeah.
Because of like the requirements for it.
Yeah. No, I think the microtransactions will actually ruin the gameplay itself.
Yeah, it's a survival horror game, and you took out all of the survival elements.
It's
I'm
That's
not even
so
worried about that. I'm worried about getting the actual resources legitimately instead of buying them, like getting through them through gameplay. I have a feeling that getting those resources will become a grind because they want to make them valuable. They want to make them hard to get, so people are more likely to spend money on it, and that takes away a lot of the guns that you can access in the game. Like it causes it to be a chore to get those guns instead of being fun to get those guns.
Yeah, and there's totally the possibility they do that because, it's EA and Visceral, and they're fucking terrible human beings. So,
They're just trying to milk
no
money.
offense, Visceral, but you kind of killed your own game by throwing co-op into it to kill horror, and then microtransactions to get rid of all the survival stuff. Like, you've taken the only big kind of AAA survival horror franchise and made it Call of Duty
yeah.
in fucking space
All they
That
have left is the
in
gimmick of
third person.
blowing off characters' limbs. Now, that's all they've left
Well,
themselves.
it's such a bad move because overall, I've heard Resident Evil 6 did not that well compared to what everyone thought it was gonna do, and
Resident
that
Evil
left
6 wasn't a good game. It was pretty bad. It was a bad Resident Evil game, but it was an okay game overall, like if you don't look at it in comparison like to the rest of the genre.
yeah.
But the
It's
the thing about Resident Evil 6 is that like the Resident Evil franchise totally set itself up to do that with 4 and 5 because they turned into big set like games, like big budget like explosion set games, kind of like Call of Duty. Like
yeah.
people play Call of Duty because of the big explosions and shit and like the set pieces. Resident Evil did that, and then the fucking best-selling Resident Evil of all time was like not like any of the rest of the Resident Evil games. And it was the one that was in Africa or whatever.
Oh,
And-
five?
Yeah,
Five was garbage. I played
that's the
four.
best-selling Resident Evil of all time.
That's disappointing to hear. I didn't really
And so like obviously they're gonna fucking do it again, right?
right.
Because it sold so well. And like I think the reason why Resident Evil 5 sold so well was just because Resident Evil 4 was so good that people just bought Resident Evil 5.
That's
But
exactly.
Resident Evil 6 is bad because they just tried to make 5 again because it sold so well that they thought people liked it.
Yeah. They take it. I played four. I didn't play anything before that. I have two on the 64 now though, but I still haven't touched that. But it wasn't very scary, but it kind of had I don't know, a horror, like that horror feel to it because you had to scavenge your guns, you had to survive. It was kind of a creepy
It
setting.
had actual survival elements in it. That's why
Right.
it was good.
And
Five did
Five
not.
took away from that, and I feel like that when Dead Space came out, I don't really know like relative to what release of Resident Evil was on, like if it was 5 or what.
I
But,
think
like,
it was 5.
Yeah, it took over the survival horror because it was something like it went back to that like you're stranded, it's survival, here you go. But
And they've
I feel
moved
like
super far away from it, especially
that's-
with the co-op stuff.
that's the worst move they could do too. It's like they were the last surviving thing that could like they're the last limb of this and they fucked up. I'm kind of disappointed. I never liked
Well,
the games.
they're just going to milk money out of the franchise now because the franchise is popular. That's how EA thinks, and it's brutal because it ruins a lot of goddamn good franchises.
I will be fair though, Dead Space on the Wii is like the best light gun game ever. I'm not kidding. It's really good.
You mean
And
like
it only sold like 3,000 copies.
what do you mean light game?
Light gun game where like you point and
Wait, like you're on a cart basically, like you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, you're like basically on tracks and
Yeah.
like shoot shit. Yeah.
Okay, those games.
Dead Space was like the Dead Space for Wii was like the best light gun game, or at least one of the best ones. It was a really good game for Wii. No one bought it though. Cause fucking North Americans. So stupid. I'm gonna try to get that game actually. I'm gonna see if I can
Liking?
find a copy. Dead
That'd be
Space for
cool.
Wii.
Yeah.
Get a bunch of people over in the fucking tiny ass office and play that.
Hmm.
But I think the thing is like EA's been pushing a lot of like microtransactions in single player games, and I think that's to me that's really upsetting because it ruins like it's gonna ruin the game.
Well, you can choose not to use it, but my problem is,
Yeah, but
I
you know
think,
that they're gonna balance it because they need to try to put some level of value in it, right?
yeah, and then that balancing will ruin the play for people who aren't going to pay, which
Yeah.
is annoying as all hell.
But like they shouldn't even be in single player games at all though, is the thing.
Yeah,
Like no one should have ever thought this was a fucking even okay idea.
Right.
Because it's a terrible idea.
It makes sense in those free-to-play games where you can buy. I mean, there's
Yeah, because the
billions
game's
of
free.
guns.
They
Yeah,
have to
and
make money somehow.
it almost makes you think or wonder why they're doing this. I mean, obviously it's for money, but like, without it, they'd make
It's
enough
greedy.
money anyways.
It's
Yeah, it is
super
greedy.
greedy, and it's
Yeah.
just like putting ads in Xbox Live Gold, like, which is definitely a thing, but it's just greedy as shit. Like, you're already paying for a product. Why are you
Which
gonna
you
nickel
should-
and dime more?
Which you shouldn't have to, anyways. Xbox Live pisses me off.
Oh, you shouldn't have to pay for Xbox Live. It's a bad service.
It's terrible.
I think. Oh yeah, my my comment on Xbox since I got Xbox Live is Xbox Live should be free, and then I had to log into my Xbox Live account when I was working for Microsoft, and like my coworkers saw that, and they were like, "The fuck," and all staring at me and shit. I was like,
That's great.
I don't know. I think that paying for Xbox Live does allow Microsoft to make it a better service, but at the same time, it's brutal because I don't use my Xbox enough. When I do use it, I want to play multiplayer games, but I don't use it enough to justify that amount of money every year.
Yeah,
That
but it
and-
also okay, we're gonna after I say this, we're going back on track about the microtransactions. The thing about
Right.
Xbox Live Gold is that you pay for it to use functionality for the system that Microsoft doesn't goddamn pay for. Like, why can't I just watch fucking Netflix without paying $15 a month? I already pay for goddamn Netflix.
Yep.
Not that I
Yeah.
actually pay for Netflix because it's terrible in Canada, but like, there's a lot of stuff on Xbox that is only for gold that shouldn't be only for gold. Damn it! You're
That's
taking away basic functionality.
Yeah, that the PS3 and the Wii both have, which is frustrating as hell.
Okay, back to this microtransactions thing. Next thing I'm gonna say, Jeff, you ever work on a game that you have microtransactions in single player? I'll fucking stab you to death.
I'll quit. Like, we want to sell this one resource, so I'll be like, bye. Like, what are you doing mid-meeting? Just stand up and walk out? I'm like, okay.
It's just like, it's such a terrible, greedy practice, and it's obviously, I really hope it's not from Visceral, and I hope it's just from like some jackass in marketing or some business suit, but it has no place in games.
It's probably from like a manager at Visceral,
Probably.
which is unfortunate. But no, I even just the like UI that they have to implement for it. As soon as I see that, I'm just turned off the game. Personally, I'm just like, fuck.
It's gross,
Quit.
and there's so much stuff going on with Dead Space 3 that, like, I think is super greasy. Like the marketing campaign that they did on YouTube where they paid a shitload of, like, Let's Players to play it.
Yeah.
And they, like, sent them marketing materials that they had to read. And some people, like Jesse Cox, I'm calling you out right now, Jesse Cox, he, like, slipped it in without making it very obvious and didn't say anything about being paid to do it or anything like that. And I don't know if he was paid to do it because no one said they were paid or not paid to do it. But everyone has said after... Actually, this is like the only thing PewDiePie's ever done well that I kind of like can applaud him for. So well done. But he like just said, yeah, EA sent me this game. They told me to play it and do a video on it. And this is stuff that they told me to say. And then he just said it, and he was just like straight up outright about it. Game Grumps kind of did in like a sarcastic way, where they're like, "Oh, look at what this piece of paper that a bird sent me. Oh, there you can make guns in this game. There's crafting," and like turn it into a joke. But like other people, like Jesse Cox, he's like, "Look how fucking cool this is. Oh my god, you can make guns in this game," and like totally not sarcastic and like getting overly excited about it. And it's just like,
Maybe he really likes the franchise and he wanted to support EA. You never know.
In their advertising campaign where people were blatantly being paid bonuses because everyone got a different link that had stat tracking. Okay. Yeah. Really likes it. But like, and I'll just say right now, like, genius idea from EA for marketing. Like, that's a fucking great marketing idea. Find all the big Let's Players and give them games. But nonetheless, greasy as shit. Especially when you send them marketing materials they have to read.
Yeah, you shouldn't send them marketing materials. It should be like, do a review of this game. We'll watch it. If we like it, we'll ask you to upload it. If we don't like it, we'll ask you to not upload it. But they obviously
No, the right way to do it is send them it and just be like, make a video, do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, that's the right way, but that's not what they're ever going to do.
That's not how they're going to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they should not be sending a list of things to say about the game, but rather saying, hey, if you make a bad review, we're going to ask you not to upload it.
It wasn't even reviews, though. It was like Let's Plays with marketing material in it. There's a couple guys who actually, like, reviewed it, or, like, they didn't even get the game. They got the demo, like, really early.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's greasy. I gotta switch cameras, so we're gonna take another really, like, 30 seconds, so don't walk away.
Dang.
My battery's about to die. And then we'll go on to the next topic. I forgot to charge my battery before we started.
Man.
I don't have the AC adapter, so. Sorry about that, we're back. I just ran out of battery on the good camera, so as now you see, I am low res and grainy like the rest of us.
Yes, join us.
Jeff's actually got an amazing camera. He just looks low res and grainy in real life.
Yeah. Honestly, like, when I walk through the street, people stare at me and they're like, does that man have aliasing issues? Like, what the fuck? I just, I have to ignore it. It's weird.
Tyler, he just lives in a dorm. There's nothing he can do about that.
It's just my surroundings just look like shit. Can't really deal with too much about it.
He's super professional though for living in a dorm.
I mean, I can only hold what I do. Anybody around me, I can't really control that. We've seen some weird stuff in the podcast, I think.
Yeah, we have seen some weird things on the podcast.
Guaranteed they'll only get weirder.
I hope they get weirder.
I've seen a dude just like lying on the top bunk, like peeking over at your screen for a very long period of time, and I was like, there's nothing there.
Tyler should clearly hit on that girl who's always in his room more frequently, even though he has a girlfriend.
Yeah, I was gonna say she would like that. Oh,
just do it during the podcast for the hilariousness. That or get blackout drunk more frequently and pass out on stream. Just like last week.
We'll get great ratings.
Be the best.
We get ratings? Woo.
We're gonna be on iTunes hopefully next week the site's up now, by the way. But I'm building in an audio player and I worked out a deal with my host that if I shoot way over, they aren't gonna anally rape me for bandwidth charges, and that will just change my plan the next month.
Not bad.
It's a great deal because if like 1,000 people download the podcast 1 month and I will shoot over my bandwidth, and it would cost me like $2,000.
Yeah.
So.
It's a bit terrifying.
Yeah.
All right. So should we move on to
Dead Space 3 port? Dead Space 3 port.
Man, this game has everything going for it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sam.
Did you read his justification? Cause it's the stupidest thing I've ever fucking heard in my life. So the Dead Space 3 port is a direct port. No HD textures. It's gonna run 60 FPS, and that's gonna be it. There's not going to be any fancy post-processing. There's not going to improve post-processing. They're not going to do anything like that. It's going to run in 1080p with the regular textures. The thing about 1080p with the regular textures, it'll look terrible because they have the HD textures. They're not going to release them though, right? And their reasoning why is they want the game to be consistent across all platforms. They don't want one platform to be able to say that they have a better version of the game.
That's been
It's
that's
gonna
been
look.
the case ever since PC games existed.
PC
Yeah,
games
dude,
have always looked better.
People buy PCs, they invest more in their PCs because they want to get more out of their games, and it's like, oh, we don't want one specific console to be, or the one specific machine to be the best way to play the games. That way it'll sell more evenly on all the others. It's like, okay, so you've just alienated the whole PC crowd from buying your game.
It's retarded because it doesn't cost them any more money to release the good textures. They already made
It costs
them.
them like
Yeah,
2 days of compile time.
They've already made the good textures, though. They could just...
Well, they've probably got really, really high-res versions that they need to kind of scale them all down to a reasonable size. And then in the game, they'd have to program in a way to set like which set of textures you're loading in. But
Yeah.
that's like a week worth of work.
But the game's
for,
been
like,
fucking
one
gold
dude.
forever, so they're not even working on the other versions. They're not doing
Yeah.
anything with it other than putting in more goddamn gun packs
Yeah.
and more shitty day one DLC.
Yes.
Assholes.
No,
It's gonna
my-
look exactly like Dead Space 2. When was Dead Space 2 released? Because it should look goddamn better. Like what? I'm gonna get another DirectX 9 port?
Oh, yeah.
Fucking
I love
10
that
years of DirectX 9. Thank you, Xbox 360.
When I read about this, my only response was just like I laughed and said I wasn't going to buy it.
It's
Like, I don't care how
retarded.
good it is.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
buy it because I have to buy it, but I'm not gonna fucking play it. I'm not gonna enjoy it. It's
Why
good.
do you-
I already know that it's gonna be shitty.
Play it.
Well, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to play it for 3 hours, and I'm gonna say it's
That's-
shitty.
About how shitty it is, and then
Yeah.
it's
I-
always good.
Just by reading everything up to the release of this game, I know it's going to be a fucking terrible game. And I'm just like, this is gonna be fun, guys. I'm gonna get to play a terrible game for fucking 3 hours and then be like, guess
And
what,
then-
guys? The new Dead Space 3 is terrible.
Hey guys, look, it's just like the last Dead Space game, but less scary and less fun. And I have to pay real money to get the guns. Yeah.
Pretty much.
What do I ask for?
Pretty much.
Sweet. So $60 out the window.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome. And I'm going to be pissed if it's not on Steam, and I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Origin exclusive, too. Which
Really?
isn't actually that bad, because at least it doesn't end up in my Steam's game list.
Good point. Good
Yeah.
point.
like
But I have like 400 games in there now, that even if it did, you know.
Every once, like 2 years down the road, you'd see it in the list and be like, whoa, I own Dead Space 3?
I have NBA 2K, whatever,
Yeah.
basketball manager.
yes.
Did you claim your key for Bad Rats?
Dude, I definitely did.
Did you play it?
No, it's not even installed.
Play it. You'll be
I-
astounded at how terrible it is.
All I did was see that. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna top that. That was
You
my
can't
goal for the
top
night.
Bad Rats. It was 49 cents, and it's like infamously terrible. Jeff, Bad Rats is that 2D physics puzzle game that I told you about, where sometimes objects just magically fall into the 3D realm and start moving across the Z plane, and all of a sudden the puzzle becomes unsolvable because the object rolled off the screen.
Or I
No.
may or may not have had this issue in games I've created.
Yeah, but this was an actual release on Steam.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
It's amazing.
That's bad.
It's 49 cents. Yeah, Dead Space 3 though is just, it looks like it's going to be just the worst kind of game. It's just lazy. They're essentially trying to come up with an excuse for being lazy and greedy.
Yeah. Nah. What do you expect from big companies anyways? They're not really out there to produce games for us. They're there to produce games for them.
Valve, THQ,
Yeah.
I don't understand Valve. Valve is
Platinum Games,
Platinum.
Nintendo.
Point.
EA
Jeff, the only companies that actually do this shit are EA and Activision.
and Activision. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know.
So like, this is one of my huge problems with like gaming now is that everyone's like, oh well, no one's about the games. No, it's just fucking EA and Activision. But because North American gamers, i.e. frat boys, are fucking too retarded and don't know games, they just buy Dead Space and Call of Duty, and Battlefield
Battlefield.
and Halo. I'm not saying Halo's terrible. I'm just saying that's one of their
Halo's
games.
not by Activision or EA.
Yeah, I know, but that's one of the games that they
Everyone
buy.
buys it. Yeah. So, do we want to move on to our next topic?
Sure. Because now we can do more talk about EA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love them.
And so, next gen is obviously coming in the near future, this year or next year. According to the Wall Street Journal, fall will be the PS4. But,
Yeah.
So EA says that the next gen's not here, the Wii U isn't next gen. Because it's just, it's faster than this gen, but not next gen apparently. And so they're going to obviously heavily support next gen.
They didn't,
because that's a necessary statement.
Generation that came
Yeah,
out.
that's
like their games that came out with the Xbox and the PS3 when they first came out were just shit. Didn't really have anything. So I think their goal is to time their release schedule with the next gen consoles. So like in the first few months of the consoles being out, they can release like the new Battlefield or the
No,
new
new
FIFA.
Battlefield's this gen. It's even confirmed for Wii U.
Oh,
Yeah.
fucking EA.
To my knowledge, it's going to be a Wii U game. So
I did
fucking-
love a couple of the articles I read this week that everybody was confused about the Steam box. They're like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's going to do. I don't know if we're going to release for it. I'm like, yes, if you release for Steam, you release for the Steam box. Come on.
Yeah, that's the weird thing when people were talking about like the Steam box. It's like, wow, do you release for Xbox and Sony and PC? Because if you do, then you'll have a version for PC that can run on the Steam box.
Yeah, and
Because,
everybody
like-
seems to be confused by it. It's weird.
So yeah, EA is obviously gonna heavily support next gen because they're not gonna, as if they weren't gonna release their games on the next generation of consoles.
Yeah, it's too difficult. It's too difficult, right?
They've all of a sudden become like hardcore purists of gaming. They're like PC only, no DLC. We don't microtransactions. We just charge like $40 a game for brand new releases, keyboard and mouse style. That
Release them in all ways possible on the PC. You can get them through Steam. You can get them through Origin. You can just go to our website and download it with a direct credit card payment.
no DRM.
None at all. You can just you can copy it onto a flash drive and paste it on your friend's computer. It'll work.
Runs it over 1080p because PC monitors have always been over 1080p.
God damn.
Fucking EA. So that's the most like retarded statement we've had all week is, yeah, we're going to release games for the next gen. Now on to more of the Sony stuff. So Sony is going to announce the PS4 on February 20th, according to the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
And that is going to come out in the fall, according to the Wall Street Journal.
Yay.
Wall Street Journal is such a weird source for that.
Yup,
Yeah.
it is.
Like,
Especially since you either had to buy the journal, or have an online sub. So a bunch of gaming news sites were like, here's where we got this from, but you can't look at it.
yeah, with oh,
So we're finally going to get the new Sony, PlayStation. The thing
Yeah.
about this, announcing on the February 20th, is the complete opposite of what they said last week, where they said they were waiting for Xbox to get announced because then they just make better spec systems.
Yeah.
So
Well,
now
they
I'm
said they were
confused.
thinking about that strategy, but I guess they've decided against it. They
In a
want to try and
week?
get the jump on
Really,
Xbox.
They ceased development of the
Apparently
PS4
they're a really fast moving company, man.
crazy fast that they can just like all of a sudden develop a console in a week.
They just decided to flip a table, and they do, even though that table's like continent sized.
They've been waiting for the Xbox to get announced so they could put better specs into it, but they've decided against it, and now they've developed a console in a week.
Yep.
Okay. Solid. The worst possible thing that could have ever happened in the world, really, was if both of them were just waiting for the last 4 years to see who was going to release a console first. If that's why we haven't had new consoles yet, I'm pissed.
I don't even care. The new consoles don't look that good.
No.
If these specs are true.
Yeah, not according to these specs.
Yeah. I am excited to see what Sony comes up with, though. Like menu-wise, feature-wise. They're talking about a lot of social stuff, which I don't care about, but I do want to see and then laugh at because it's fun for me.
Yeah.
But not excited, really.
Let's get on to the segment where Geoff and I get to go. Why would you do that? Tyler, you were in computer engineering for a year, right?
Yeah.
Good, you'll know this shit too then. To some degree.
I'm not very good at the graphics.
I took only science classes. I didn't take any actually computer engineering classes.
Do you understand parallelizing?
No.
Okay. Well, this is what Geoff and I are going to bitch about for a very extended period of time.
I'm going to eat my Cheetos and I'll listen.
Okay.
Feel free to make faces and stuff.
So,
just to entertain yourself.
The new specs have been leaked or whatever, and a bunch of sources have like said that it's going to be for an AMD graphics chip and an AMD CPU for both the PlayStation and the Xbox, which makes sense because they're cheaper than Intel chips and cheaper than NVIDIA chips. They've also said that the chip that they're going to use is going to be the Jaguar for the CPU, which is like the AMD budget CPU.
Yeah,
and it's going to be an 8-core CPU.
Clock 1.6 gigahertz, they're assuming right now per core.
Yes, because that's about what the Jaguar could do.
Yeah. Which is awesome because everybody wants another cell processor in every console.
Yes.
Right? Because that processor worked out so well for developers.
Well, to be fair, here's the thing that happened with the cell. There's only one PPU in the cell.
Yeah.
And then there's 8 SPUs. And the 8 SPUs, the idea of them was to like offload graphics. It was never supposed to be a graphics chip. But they backed out last moment, put in a graphics chip so that it could be more of a traditional architecture. But then because you only have one PPU, you can only do one single process, like one linear process at a time. And the SPUs aren't good for traditional math, so they're not good for doing things that you would put on the CPU in the first place. They're only good for graphics shit. So it was broken as fuck. Because you had a graphics chip which were better and easier than the SPUs to deal with, but you only had one PPU in the CPU, and so you couldn't even throw shit that you would do with the CPU normally onto any of the SPUs. So they sat there useless, and you couldn't do shit. Whereas and then
I mean, if you develop a really good game engine, you can use them, right? Like you can make quite a bit of use of them, but that increases development time drastically.
And costs.
It's nuts.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's not even like, oh, well, if we just throw more money at the problem, we can solve it. No, you can throw more money at the problem and maybe solve it.
No, you need to hire more genius IQ engineers to throw at the problem.
Yeah, but the thing is that they might not solve the problem, and it's going to be inconsistent.
It's fucking brutal. Just spreading out a game engine across multiple, like more than a few cores, is the hardest fucking thing in the world.
Yeah, because on PC, like, okay, the reason why the AMD like 8-core 4 gigahertz processors still do worse than the like Intel 4-core 3.8 gigahertz processors is purely because of parallelization. Who gives a shit if you have 8 cores? You can't run shit on more than 2 normally on a PC.
You can't run regular consumer
games.
Products do not work well parallelizing. Like,
no, regular games can maybe do it on 2 cores. They
regular
rarely
games,
use 3 at all.
I have not seen any other than PlayStation 3 games make use of more than 4. I've seen a few that make use of 4. I think Crytek. It was Crytek.
Yeah, but it's not even balanced so that it's like it's like in some situations you can throw a process onto a third or fourth core because it has nothing to do with the core game. And it's because of how games are built. Like, games are built in, like, a top-down tree structure where, like, you have the player's action and then you spread out, right?
Yeah.
But you're, like, constantly like, okay, here's the player's reaction. Do these 3 AI. Okay, what do these 3 AI do? Now we've seen that. Okay, go back down in this one thing. Do the reactions now to this shit. And so, like, you're constantly waiting for...
Yeah.
Like,
and then even if you split it out, so like one AI, when you split to do 3 at once, one AI is done on each core. There's a lot of overhead involved in spreading that information out so you can do it on 3 processors and then rejoining it again.
Yeah,
and it ends up just slowing your game down.
And after the 3 AI do their thing, you have to rejoin it because you need to do the reaction to those 3 AI doing their thing. And what if the AI, like, a game like GTA is one of those games that, like, you would think, oh, you can parallelize it because it's open world, there's lots of shit going on, but it's all about reactions, right? In the AI, that's like the most linear possible fucking game that you have. Like, that thing's hard to get to do on 2 cores because, like, you have the player's reaction, then you have AI reaction, then you have AI reaction to AI reaction. So it's like, AI is, like, the hardest thing to parallelize. The only thing that you can maybe parallelize, like, easily is, Roller Coaster Tycoon type games, because, like, the rides run independently of each other.
You might be able to parallelize, like, an RTS.
Yeah, because, like, when someone does something, it doesn't affect what's on the other side of the map.
Yeah. But it... I want to see, like, a dual core or a quad core with double the power.
Well, that's what made...
8-core processor in these consoles, and it's annoying as shit.
That's what made the 360 so much better than the PS3, and why the development costs were lower, and why it had more games at the beginning, is because it was more traditional. It was a tri-core... It was a tri-core processor with 3.2 gigahertz PPUs.
Yeah.
So...
And then I think people mainly only use 2 of them, and one of them was reserved for, like, console side stuff, like OS stuff. Like the
pretty much. And so, like, it made it more traditional as a computer, way easier to develop for.
You could just port games from your PC to your Xbox, figure out the correct graphics setting, and go from there half the time.
Much.
I mean, the RAM was an issue.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like the RAM might not be an issue this time because they decided to put an ample amount of it in, thank God. Maybe we'll get some reasonably okay-looking textures this time around.
It's the one thing I'm happy about in the new consoles. They actually have goddamn RAM now. The PlayStation is rumored to have 4 gigabytes, and the Xbox Durango is rumored to have 8 gigabytes, although the PlayStations are a lot faster.
There's no point in having 8.
Yeah, no.
I've explained to you why 8 versus 4 doesn't make sense unless you're fucking doing video rendering or, like, gigantic illustrations.
I've only got 4 in my desktop computer, and it's probably like 10 times as powerful as either of these consoles, easily.
Well, the thing about having more is that, like, you have to linearly address through RAM and refresh it. And so, like, if you double up the RAM, it takes twice as long to refresh it. You have to refresh it every cycle.
Yeah.
So it makes your cycles longer, which makes, like, single processes take longer.
Yeah. It's
not noticeable when you're, like, doubling from 2 to 4. It's noticeable when you double from, like, 4 to 8, and when you double from 8 to 16. And
8 to 16 is most, yeah.
Oh, 8 to 16 definitely the most. The only reason to have more than 8 is if you're doing, like, huge video rendering or
insane, like fucking 3D animation shit.
Yeah, anything where like you need to load a program into RAM.
Well, you can do that a lot of the time in 8.
Yeah, but, like, you couldn't do that in, like, a super high res, like, After Effects composition.
Yeah.
But yeah, this 8-core processing thing doesn't make any damn sense to me, because you would have thought that they learned the lesson with cell processors, and you would have thought that, like, what's their play here? Does Sony and Microsoft have some, like, did they get together over the last 4 years and solve parallelization?
That would be awesome.
That would be great.
But no, they didn't. Probably not.
Do they expect, like, the world's greatest computer scientists and software engineers to all of a sudden, like, appear out of the woodwork in the next 6 months?
Mm-hmm. Like termites, they're just chewing through the wood, pop out finally as soon as the new consoles come out.
If they do pop up in the next 6 months, fuck it, I drop out of school because I'll never be as good as them. But
Yeah.
but
God.
if they don't, I will be sitting here going, why, Microsoft? Why do you do that? Because like the issue with this is that these are potentially slower consoles than the current gen if we can't use them, like as a developer. And the thing is that this, unlike last gen, has the potential that we can't actually fucking use them.
Well, it's a PlayStation 3 level of development difficulty, but well, not quite, but close.
It'll be a little
What
easier because you can run more single process lines for
what
like
I'm
more
worried
traditional.
about is that power isn't actually for games. Like, I'm worried they're gonna devote like 2 or 3 of those cores to like social shit, like Twitter running while you're gaming and shit like that, which
Well,
is a bit terrifying because I don't want my Xbox to be like a netbook.
yeah, it's stupid that they're likely going to do that shit, which is stupid.
Mhm.
But like as a game developer, there's no way that we could use all 8.
Not well.
No,
Not op-
it's not. It's not likely to go
yeah.
past 4.
There,
To be
there are
fair.
some developers who optimally use, well, fairly optimally use the PlayStation 3's 9.
Yeah,
core.
but you also have to look at what you can do with the SPUs on the PlayStation, because you still only have the one that's good for traditional like numerical processing. The SPUs were really designed for graphics, and so they're
Well,
not
graphics are
good at a lot
faster
of shit.
processing numbers, but they have a lot less commands that they can do. They're more like pure math, pure addition or multiplication or things like that. Whereas a regular processor can do a lot more than that. It's like graphics, it's just like bit shifting and addition.
Yeah. And that's what the SPUs are good for. They weren't good for anything else.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things that made it so hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be really surprised if they manage to use more than 4 on the new systems, because we can't use 4 now, which is why AMD's in a lot of trouble in the desktop market. It's why they might close. Well, it doesn't. If the PS4 and the Xbox Durango use both AMD chips for CPU and GPU, then they'll obviously stay alive because there's a shitload of systems. But and Microsoft and Sony won't let them die because they need more chips. But like, they've really dug themselves in a hole with this whole 8-core thing on desktops. Why would it work in the console market?
Yeah. I don't know. It's annoying. Do you know anything, by the way, about AMD graphics? Because I only really know NVIDIA. So when I look at AMD cards,
their anti-aliasing processing is worse than the NVIDIA ones. And
yeah, but
that's why they've always kind of been shat on.
One of the biggest differences between the PlayStation and the Xbox, so the new ones, is the graphics. But I have no idea what that potential difference is, really.
Oh, are you talking about like the 360 versus the PS3 for their chips? Because I'm pretty sure one of them used an NVIDIA and one of them used an ATI.
PS4 and the Durango.
They're both going to use AMD chips, though, apparently.
They're both AMD chips, but they've got stats on them out that have leaked. We're not sure if they're entirely correct or not, but like they're talking fucking 1,152 shaders. I look at that and I go, what the fuck is a shader? What the hell are you talking about?
It's like, I can't really explain what a shader is.
Is it like
but it's like a pipeline based
unit, like a little processing unit to process shader information or something? Or because I'm assuming it's basically little tiny cores, like GPU cores.
Shaders are like shader pipelines, if that makes sense. So it's like how you parse information through the chip.
How do they represent like how many cores the chip actually has? Is that what the GCN units are?
Yeah.
I'm looking at these stats. I'm just like,
where you have these stats at?
I've got the PlayStation Orbis has 18 GCN units.
No, but can you like link it so I can just look at it?
I can try and pull up a link. It'll take me a second.
Post it in the document if you have the document open.
Is there?
It is?
Yeah.
Where is it?
It's in the first.
It's in the first link to the stats.
Oh, the one that I had from Rock Paper Shotgun?
Yeah.
Okay. I only ever bothered to read through the CPU stuff. Sorry.
They've got GPU stuff in there. I just don't really understand. Like, I can't compare that to a baseline like I can with NVIDIA products. So I don't know how powerful these things are going to be.
Where is this? Is this in the cheaper chips part?
Yeah,
It's
cheaper
the
chips.
paragraph after this image of the PlayStation.
Oh, after the PlayStation.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we've got Radeon HD chip for the Sony with 18 GCN units and a grand total of 1,152 shaders.
Okay, so the GCN units are like chips, like whole chips,
Yeah,
or like they're cores practically.
yeah,
If that makes
the
sense. And
GPUs.
each one has like a certain amount of shaders in it.
I'm really annoyed that they're calling them shaders because shader is a software term to me.
Yeah.
It's fucking annoying as shit. um, yeah, what is that power wise? Like, what would that be the equivalent of in N8 or NVIDIA products?
Um.
560 or something?
No. This would be like the ATI 7700s. So that would be like 470s, 460s.
Jesus. Okay.
I think this actually it might be around the 560. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because if they're around 560, it's somewhat, but it's still like at generation 500s are now old too, right? Like we're in the 600s now.
We'll be in the 700s by the time that these systems come out.
So looking at these, it's just like these systems to me seem underwhelming in everything pretty much. The only thing I'm missing, like, I want to know how much hard drive space they each have, but I'm assuming they'll probably offer variants on that.
There's no way that these things are up around the 770s. The 770s are way too good.
I think there's a comparison in the article. 7,770 for the Durango and a 7,850 for the PlayStation Orbis. So Radeon HD 7850 would be the PlayStation
Yeah,
apparently.
the reason why it doesn't make sense is that like the tech capabilities behind the 7,770 is like too high for what these systems would do. But I guess we're probably not going to use some of that tech. Like you can push 4K with a 7,770. Fucking stupid number for a system or for like a graphics card.
Yeah.
Stupid naming system. But you can't push it like good frame rate, I guess. So not with one of them.
I'm not really worried about resolution. I'm worried about like power. And I can usually just look at that with NVIDIA products as a baseline.
I think this goes around to the 500 series. Or
Like
like the high 500 series. But there's other things like
It's a 580.
they're not gonna like direct transfer, right? Because they're gonna have to cut power out to keep power usage down on the console and to keep it cool. Because you know that there's not gonna be, because like you can't put power like this, in an HTPC. It gets too hot, and it runs loud, and then so there's certain form factors like you can't run louder than the 360 already runs, because it's pretty loud, and it can't get louder. Consumers won't put up with it, and you can't get hotter because this hardware won't put up with it. So they're gonna have to cut power, and like literally the amount of voltage that they put in is going to have to be cut, and so all this shit's gonna have to get underclocked. That's why the Jaguars look at 1.6, not 2. But like there's no way that they're keeping that much power in the graphics chips.
No, I'm assuming it's going to run like the PlayStation maybe a 560, and like the Xbox maybe a 460, maybe a bit slower.
No, the 460 is way slower. The 560 is more in line with the 470s.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the Xbox is slower than the PlayStation. Like it's a less powerful chip.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we'll just have to see what they do with the clocking, because
Yeah.
their stuff should be comparable to the low 600, like to the 660s and the 570s, but we'll we'll see when. Yeah, on paper it should be comparable, but it won't be.
Yeah.
There's no way that they could leave it like that.
Yeah. Especially because they won't want to make the consoles large either. Like they'll have to be.
Yeah, like there's a form factor that they have to keep. They can't get bigger than what they are now, and they can't get louder.
Sure. They can't get hot.
As a result, they can't get hotter. Like, if they get hotter, they'll overheat at this stage. Because, like, the PS3 and the 360 already run hot. And they run loud.
A lot of the 360s melting themselves, right?
Yeah, wasn't that the main issue with rendering, was the heat?
Yeah.
So
the fix to that was to remelt them.
Yeah.
They got so hot on the inside that the solder melted off. Like, it would...
and the solder sometimes will reattach itself and work again.
Yeah. It's not that the solder melted, it's that the solder started to crack and, like, fall apart. So you had to, like, remelt it again. Because it got too hot and too dry inside the consoles.
Hopefully, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be buying a next-gen console.
I won't. But, I like my Wii U. I think, to be honest, it's the only console that makes sense to me, because the way that the Durango and the PS4 are shaping up, they're making another PC, and I feel like if the Wii taught us anything, it doesn't make sense to keep doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially with, like...
the Wii U offers an experience that no other machine does, right? You can't really do that on your PC.
Well, it offers an arcade experience is what it offers.
Yeah. That's why it's something you'd go and purchase. The only thing I'm waiting to see is if they back it up with good titles.
Well, they announced a ton of good titles last week, Jeff.
Yeah.
Platinum announced a bunch of games. Nintendo announced a bunch of games. Monolith announced a new game.
I'm probably still not going to buy one, but of the three, from what I know so far, I'm most likely to buy a Wii U. Just because I cannot get that experience on my PC.
No, it's not possible. But it's still, like, an experience that isn't, like, necessarily worth buying. Like, I have one. You just come over, we play party games.
Yeah, that's probably why I wouldn't buy one.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, my friend's got one.
I mean, unless you really wanted some sick-ass Japanese games. That's my only problem with Nintendo systems. There's so many good games that come out for them, but only in Japan. Is that, like, even when the Wii was out, I was, like, so close to just buying a Japanese Wii and importing games from Japan off Amazon. Because it's like, there's so many good games. They just don't release in my country because I'm white. We have bad taste.
We like to shoot people in games that are cookie cutter and produced in a yearly basis. It's our whole gaming culture.
Speaking about games that get produced on a yearly basis, Medal of Honor got canceled. Well, not necessarily canceled, but it's taken out of the yearly rotation for EA. And they're putting something new in, they said. So... A lot of people were like... A lot of people were like, no, they're going to put Battlefield in the yearly rotation. I'm like, you know that Battlefield's in the yearly rotation, and it always has been, right? Because ever since Battlefield 1942... there's been a Battlefield every single year or a major expansion.
Yep.
But expansions aren't a thing that they do anymore. So there's just a new Battlefield every year.
Yeah. They already have to replace Mass Effect 2 with a new...
There's a new Mass Effect, so...
What?
There's a Mass Effect 4. You didn't know there was going to be a Mass Effect 4? It's the same guy who did Mass Effect 3. They said that when he said that like a month after Mass Effect 3 came out. It's the end of it's like the end of the Shepard trilogy, but there's going to be a Mass Effect 4 with the same guy who did Mass Effect 3.
Damn it! I never even played Mass Effect 3. I looked at it and was like, nope.
It's terrible.
That's the end of my consideration of playing it.
They released some really BS DLC for it too, like a lot of DLC, and it was all bad.
I want to see a new IP.
That's why I was angry about DMC. Was like they just decided to use DMC when they could have used a new IP.
Yeah.
Because it has nothing to do with Devil May Cry besides
Chains.
No, because those weren't in the other ones. Has nothing to do with Devil May Cry besides a dude named Virgil and a dude named Dante. Yep.
Yay, series reboots. Anyways, not that excited for the new consoles.
I think the only big thing that I'm liking is that they announced that DirectX 11 will be supported on the new Xbox. So I'm buckling myself in for 10 years of DirectX 11. Much like 10 years of DirectX 9.
Mm-hmm. When DirectX 12 is going to come out like 6 months after the new Xbox.
2 months after the new Xbox, I bet. Yeah. And then I'm going to be like, all my fucking... Like, look at all these amazing tech features and just be like, great, there's not going to be any games that use any of this shit for a decade.
Yeah, I'll have to wait for the next id game.
Yeah, pretty much. Which will be generic and bad.
Yep.
But new tech.
Yeah, so I think discovered that EA are still money grubbers, and nobody's, at least between us, really excited for the new consoles.
We don't need to wrap this up, Jeff. We don't need to... This isn't an essay. We don't have to say everything again.
In conclusion...
We're just going... Hey, Tyler, what's your opinions on parallelization and shaders?
Dude,
oh, God.
I'm sorry. The last topic that we put in was definitely just something for Jeff and I to bitch.
Oh, no, it's fine. I mean, I can look at the specs and kind of get a gist of it, but it seems it's like completely different tech from what's in desktops I'm familiar with, so it's kind of... Yeah. But...
Yeah, we're going to wrap things. We're going to end.
Yeah. Wait, I thought... But Jeff was already doing that perfectly.
Yeah, dude.
Can we just let him continue this?
You're like, no, I gotta fuck it up.
No, you're not You don't say everything over again, Jeff.
Did you know actually the best way, if you're trying to instruct somebody, you have to say something like 7 times in order for them to be likely to remember it? Yeah,
but we said it like 10 or 15 or even sometimes 20 to 30 times when we covered them initially.
The more, the merrier.
We're just going to wrap up.
Okay.
So, thanks guys for watching. This has been the Dapper Gaming Podcast. I've been your host, Ryan. With me, been Jeff and Tyler. Hopefully Jeff can figure out some way to be on more consistently, because he's supposed to be on every week. And then also note that the Dapper Gaming website has been launched. It is up at dappergaming.com. I will be trying to... There's improvements and bugs in the site, such as tags don't work, hence why there's no tags on any of the posts. I'll be fixing that. It's not that tags don't work, they display stupidly. And so I'll be fixing that. I'll be implementing the stream, like this stream. If you watch this live, it'll be embedded into the website.
Yeah.
Just overall improvements will come this week, so you can check us out at Dapper Gaming. It'll kind of aggregate all of our content that we make, like video content on YouTube on the different channels. But I also plan on writing some editorials and things like that, and I'm sure that Tyler will, and I don't know because I've never asked Jeff, but
I could.
He's way too busy. I ask him to do stuff, and he's just like, that's never going to happen, man.
I'm like, juggling just ass loads of everything.
Yeah, all I want to do, Jeff, is make a video game. God, It's not like it's going to take thousands of hours. I just want to make a video game on every single platform and release it to show that you can make games that run on PC and on tablets. I mean, come on. Don't be a dick about it, Geoff.
You need a team of like 30 people to do that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm no Jesus engineer. I can't do that for you.
I'm the Jesus engineer. Damn it.
I
will engineer it. You shall program it.
Okay. There's an error in that statement.
Yep. So this has been the Dapper Gaming Podcast, number 4 for February 2nd. And we'll see you guys next week.